Okay, fingers crossed it's recording. So, welcome to everybody, either live or watching the recording. I will say as well, just if you've any questions or anything, just drop me a message or an email and I can talk you through. So I know there are a few people who have never done Pilates before who are joining us. So we're gonna, and also for those of you who have come to my classes before, it's been a long time since we've actually practiced in person together. So we're going to go right back to the basics tonight and just keep things really simple and focus on our breath and our spine and getting the connection with the body. Your dog is going to distract me so much, he's so cute. Okay. So we'll get started. We're going to start on the floor. Can you see me and hear me okay? Okay, brilliant. I can see a lot of ceilings now. Maybe if you can adjust your... Perfect, perfect. Okay, so we're going to just start lying down on our back with your feet about hip width distance apart, feet flat on the floor, and knees pointing up to the ceiling. And all we're going to do to start off with is just breathe, okay? So if you can put your hands onto your ribs and just start off breathing without trying to change your breath or anything, just noticing how the body moves with each breath in and each breath out. Breathe in nice and deep through the nose. And breathe out slowly and calmly through the mouth. Okay, then we're going to try and get it more into the Pilates style breathing, okay? So still one hand on your ribs, kind of in the center of your ribs, or just one side, whichever is more comfortable. And then put your other hand down onto your lower belly. So right in on your belly button, or just below your belly button. Okay, so now when you breathe in, I want you to think about filling the lungs and doing this lateral breath. So thinking about expanding the lungs out the side, and your rib cage kind of opens out to the side. And then as you breathe out, your rib cage closes back in. Okay, breathe in, ribs open. And breathe out, ribs close. Okay, then thinking about this hand down on the belly. So as you breathe in, concentrating on the ribs, then as you breathe out, start thinking of pressing down in and pulling your belly button inwards towards the floor. Breathe in, release that belly, ribs expand. Breathe out, ribs close in, and lower abdominals contract and tighten. Okay, a couple more. And just taking your time and paying attention. Last out breath, nice and tight in the lower abs. Okay, then release the hands and just bring your arms down either side. Am I very, very dark? No, I'm okay. All right. So hands down either side. And we're going to do a little bit of imprinting of this lower back, okay? So I'll lift my arms so you can see, but if you just keep your arms resting down by the side of your body. And now as you breathe out and you're tightening in those lower abdominals, think about pressing your lower back down into the mat. And you might feel your pelvis kind of roll backwards a little bit as well. And then on your in-breath, tilt the pelvis forwards. So you might feel your glutes, your bum pressing hard down into the floor, and you'll feel the lower back just gently lift upwards away from the mat and your tummy relax. Breathe out, tightening abs, pull lower spine in, we're imprinting it down onto the floor, pelvis tilts slightly backwards, feel this tightening in the glutes as well. And then breathe in, slight tilt of the pelvis forwards and relaxing of the spine on the floor. Okay, we're going to bring this now up into the full shoulder bridge. So breathe in and prepare. And then on your out breath, we do this nice contraction. Pelvis tilts back. And then continue with this motion. So we lift the glutes off the floor, we lift the lower spine, middle section of your spine, and come up into this nice diagonal line. Squeeze into your glutes, press your feet down into the floor, and take an inhale. And then on your exhale, lower this middle section of your spine back to the floor, then the lower section of your spine, and then lastly, the glutes touch down. And a little tilt forwards of the pelvis back to neutral position on your in-breath, and then exhale, we start again. Tilt backwards, curl up, squeeze into your glutes as you press those hips up towards the ceiling. Breathe in and then exhale, curl back down, and then reset the pelvis to neutral on your in-breath. Good, we'll do 3 more of these. Let me just see how you're doing. Tilt back, lift up. Good, feeling each section of your spine lifting off the floor. And then each section of your spine reconnect back down onto the mat. Perfect. Okay, and then when you finish this next one, just rest down, hips down onto the floor, and feet flat again. Okay, so now we're going to think about the pelvis, and I want you to think about holding this pelvis really, really steady and in one position as we start to move the legs, okay? So we're going to lift and lower 5 times each leg. So we'll start with the left leg and just lift that leg up, no movement in the pelvis, and then tap the toe down onto the floor. Breathing out, breathe in, lift it back. Breathe out, lower down. Try not to let there be any movement in your pelvis. And lift, lower on the out breath, lift on the in breath. 2 more. Okay, good. Then put your left foot down and we'll switch to the right side. Now, did you feel anything move in the hips as you shifted over to the right side? So we're trying to avoid that. Trying to keep everything nice and steady. Exhale, lower your toe down. So we're drawing abs in, holding that spine close into the floor. And inhale, lift it back up. Exhale, lower. Tightening abs, imprinting spine. Inhale, lift. 3 more. Good, 2 more. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Okay, good. Now we take it up a level. And as we're going up any of the levels, if a level feels too much, you just stay down on where we were before, okay? So if you want to, you can keep your hands on your hips as a wee reminder, hands on hip bones, or hands just resting down onto the floor beside you. So we're going to lift left leg up. Don't bring it too far in. So we just want the hip to stay at 90 degrees. And then lift the right leg up. Good. Now contracting those abs and hold the spine nice and tight and steady. We don't want any arching of this middle section of the spine. Then slowly lower left leg down and lower right leg down. Good, then we'll repeat the other side. So start with your right leg, lift, and then lift the left leg, tightening your abs. Good. Hold for a couple of seconds. Notice how your spine is feeling. And then lower right leg down, lower left leg down. Okay, so that might be enough for you. Just lifting, lifting, lowering, and lowering. Otherwise, if you feel okay with all of that in your lower back and your core, we're going to go into some toe taps from this tabletop position. So we lift both legs up, hips are at 90 degrees, knees are at 90 degrees. Okay, you might want to put a hand on your lower belly. Breathe in and prepare, and then on your exhale, hinging at the hip, lower that right toe down to the floor. Then inhale, lift it back to this tabletop position. Exhale, lower the left toe down, making sure there's no arching in your spine. Good, keep on going, right leg. Exhaling as you lower, inhale as you lift back. Exhale as you lower, inhale as you lift, alternating right and left. If it gets sore or you're feeling any discomfort in the lower back, just put both feet back down and continue just lifting and lowering as you can, concentrating on there being no movement in your pelvis. Just having a wee look here, that looks good. Not bringing the knees too far back in. Perfect. So sometimes these exercises can feel quite easy. And if they are feeling really easy, you're probably not doing them completely right. So Pilates is one of those things that it kind of creeps up on you. And if you're really concentrating and getting that lower abdominal muscle contraction, these simple exercises can actually be really challenging. So take your time. Good, let's do 2 more on each leg. Lovely. And then rest with both your feet down on the floor and just a little rock of the knees from side to side, just to release that lower back. Okay, then we're going to go into some bridge again and add in a little bit of this hinging of the legs, okay? So starting off with a little bit of neutral pelvis, which is with the pelvis just slightly tilted forwards, giving you that lightness in the lower part of your back. And take an inhale to prepare. Then on your exhale, tilt the pelvis back, pressing your lower spine into the floor. Curl up, lifting your hips off the ground, your lower spine off the floor, and then your middle section of the spine off the floor. Now stay here. I'm working just with our left leg, okay? Keep the hips in this position, and then lift your left leg in, and then lower the toe down. 1. We're going to go for 5 if you can, but if this is too much, just do 1, and then lower the leg back down. Sometimes you can feel this quite intensely in the hamstring of the right leg, the one that you're pressing down onto. Good, I think we have 1 more. Keeping the knee at right angles. Good, lower the foot down. And then lower your spine down. Middle section, lower section. Finally the glutes. And a little reset, tilting your pelvis forwards to the neutral position again. We'll repeat that now with the right leg moving, okay? So breath in, then on your out breath, tilt pelvis back, lift the hips, lift lower spine, lift middle section of the spine. Good. Now lift the right knee in and then lower the toes down. That's 1. Lift and lower. 2. Good. You might want to put your hands lightly underneath your glutes as a reminder not to let your hips drop. Good. I've lost count. I think 1 more. Good. Foot down. And then middle section of your spine lowers. Lower section of your spine. Finally the hips and glutes. And lower or tilt your pelvis forwards to the neutral position. We're going back up into the bridge again. So exhale, tilt, and lift. Good. Now we're going to do a little bit of marching. Okay, so we just lift right leg slightly off the floor, lower, then lift left leg. Again, you might want to put your hands in underneath your bum, underneath your glutes. As a reminder not to let your hips drop down, so keep them pressing up towards the ceiling. Good. Lift and lower, lift and lower. 1 more on each side. Good, and then curl the spine back down, middle section, lower section, finally the glutes. And just finish with a little bit of the imprinting and tilting of the pelvis, backwards and forwards again. Good. Okay, now moving up to the upper body a little bit. So if you can raise your arms up so your hands are pointing up towards the ceiling. Good. Now on your in-breath, we're going to open the arms out to the side. Now, we want the ribs to open, but we don't want this back to arch up. Okay, so it's just the front side of your ribs open. And then on your exhale, close the ribs back in and bring the hands back together, pointing up towards the ceiling. A few more breaths like that. Breathe in and open the arms. Breathe out, close the arms, close the ribs. Draw belly button inwards. Good, a couple more. Good, so you're paying close attention to what's happening with your spine and making sure that the middle section of your back is always connected to the mat. Okay, then open the arms and keep the arms in this open wide position. Bring your feet slightly closer back in towards the bum and come up onto your tiptoes. Now, when we breathe in, we're going to let the knees roll over to the right hand side, keeping your left shoulder blade and your left arm firmly connected to the floor. Then on our out breath, we draw everything in and pull the knees back into the center. Then breathe in, take the knees over to the left hand side, keeping your right shoulder connected to the floor. And then exhale, drawing abs in and drawing the knees back up into the center. Good, and keep on going from side to side. And again, this is another exercise where we have lots of different levels that you can choose. So I would call this level 1 with your toes still connected to the floor. Level 2 then, we lift the feet off the floor, bringing the legs up into this tabletop position again, hips at 90, knees at 90. So knees are touching, feet are touching. On your inhale, let your knees roll over to the right hand side, keeping your left shoulder blade and arm connected. Then use the out breath to draw the legs back up into the center. Then over to the left. Exhale through the middle. Inhale to the right. Exhale to the center. And just keep on going. Next level up for those of you who want to progress or who are already there. Try this with fully straightened legs. reaching over to the right on your in-breath. Exhale, coming through the center. Inhale, legs over to the other side, and exhale through the center. Keep on going. I'm just going to have a quick look at how you're getting on. Good. Brilliant. So we're always making sure that both shoulder blades are staying nicely connected to the ground, and we're not letting the whole body roll over. And this helps us to connect in with those oblique muscles down the side of your body. Perfect. Okay, do one more to each side. And remember, you can go up and down the levels as you need to or as you want to. And then just rest with your feet on the floor, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay, now a little bit more core work. So if you bring your hands up behind your head, interlace your fingers together and really let your head just fall back into your hands. So your hands are fully supporting your head. Good. Now with your head and hands just resting on the floor, take a lovely breath in. And then on your out breath, the first thing is to contract and tighten those lower abs. And then lift your head and your shoulders up off the floor, curling your chin slightly in towards your chest so there's no nasty straining of the neck. Good, and then breathe in and release back down. Breathe out, tighten, and then lift. Good, breathe in and release. Breathe out, tighten and lift. And breathe in, release. So lovely, slow, controlled movement. Not rushing through any of it. Good. Do about 3 or 4 more of these. Remember, let your head be fully supported so you're not feeling the strain in your neck. And also remember that little tuck inwards of the chin to the chest. So you're not looking up to the ceiling. Your gaze is now towards your thighs and your knees. Okay, one more. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to bring this into the obliques as well, okay? So lift up head and shoulders again. Then I want you to bring your left knee in. So lift your left foot off the floor and bring your left knee in towards you. Release your right hand, reach around to the outside of that left thigh, and then release your left hand. So both hands are now on the outside of this left thigh. Good, now just hold here and try and lift yourself a little bit higher off the ground. And then hold your body position here and bring your hands back to behind the head. And just feel those abdominals working as you try and hold yourself in that position. And then release back down, put the foot back down. Nice big breath in. And then again, out breath, lift head and shoulders. Lift your right knee in. Bring the left arm and hand round to the outside of that right thigh. And then the other arm. And pull yourself up a little further. Hold it there. And then try and stay in this raised position as you bring the hands back behind the head. Hold and squeeze. And then release head and shoulders down. And release your foot back down. Take a nice big breath in. And we're going to speed that up a little bit now. But like I said, if you prefer, you can just stick with that slow movement where you're lifting and holding onto the thighs. So just as we've just done there. Or we can speed it up a little bit, okay? So hands behind the head, breath in. Then on your out breath, lift left knee in as you reach up and over, lifting your right shoulder and elbow towards that left knee. Good, then breathe in and release back down. Then the other side on the exhale. Lift right knee in and curl up, reaching across. And inhale, lower back down for a moment's rest. Good, exhale, up, reaching over. Inhale, release. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Good, keep on going. Trying to lift as much of the body off, as much of each side of the body. So when you're reaching over to the right hand side, you're trying to get as much of that left side of the body lifted up off the mat. Good, a few more, and just check how you're doing. Brilliant. Perfect. Thinking of shoulder and elbow reaching across. So you're trying to lift as much of that body up. So rather than going like this and getting your elbow really far over, think about curling up and then twisting and getting as much of your shoulder blade lifted up off the ground. Perfect. Good, last one on each side. Okay, good. And then just relax down onto the floor, give your knees a little curl in. I feel like when I'm on the floor I go very dark. Is that happening? Are you not really, does it not matter? Is it okay? Okay, it's okay. Right, so you're lying down on your back now, and if you can take your right leg and point it up towards the ceiling. Now don't worry if you need to keep a little bend in this knee, that's okay, you can. And your left leg, if your hamstrings and everything allow you, I want you to try and straighten out that left leg along the floor. Now, if that's too much, just keep your left leg bent with the knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Now, your arms are just out to the sides, resting probably off the mat and on the floor. And then we're going to just do little leg circles with this right leg. So we're moving the leg from the hip socket. So it's not just circles of the ankle, we're moving from the hip. And I want the circles just to start getting slightly bigger. So as big as your own hip can manage. So you're almost skimming off the floor, maybe, or you might just be keeping them nice and small. Whatever works for you. Good. Now think about your left hip as well while you're circling this right side. What we don't want is that as you bring the right leg over, your left hip gets all carried over. So think about anchoring this left leg nicely down into the floor as you do these circles. Good, last couple. Starts to get quite sore. Good, and then just give that right knee a little hug in towards the body. Perfect. And then we're going to swap over and do the left side. So now your right leg is either bent or stretched out along the floor. Left leg pointing up towards the ceiling. Don't worry if you need a bend in the knee. Arms out to the side and just start into some little circles. Don't worry about what direction you're doing. Just whatever came to you is fine. And then let's start making the circles a bit bigger. Good. That's it. See how close to the floor you can get while still keeping that right leg completely anchored down and secure. Good, a few more. Okay, perfect. And then just give that left knee a little hug in to the body again, to the tummy or the chest. Perfect, good. All right, now we're going to roll over onto our side. So, oh, it doesn't matter what side you start with. We'll do them both. So whatever side you've landed on is fine. Now, if you find this sore on your underneath hip bone, what you can do, I meant to bring in here with me just a small hand towel or something, and just slip the towel in for a little bit of extra padding underneath your hip bone. But if you're doing this at home and you're on carpet, it should be nice and soft anyway. Okay, so underneath arm is extended. You're using your bicep as a pillow. And again, if this is uncomfortable, feel free to get a towel or a pillow or something where you can make your head and neck feel comfortable. Your top hand is there to support you, so pressing lightly with the fingertips onto the floor. And then have your whole body in a lovely straight line. So we have ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders all perfectly aligned. So you can use the edge of your mat or a line on the floor to help you with that if you struggle to connect with where everything is in your body. So we're going to do an exercise called the Torpedo. Again, targeting these oblique muscles in the waistline. Okay, so a nice breath in, and then on your out breath, we're going to lift up both legs off the floor just as high as we can, keeping the legs connected, and then breathe in and release back down. Breathe out and lift. Breathe in and release. Good, now for an extra challenge, try releasing this free hand, putting it on your hip bone or on your waist, and try lifting and lowering from there. I personally find that really difficult, so while I'm talking to you, so I'm just going to keep my hand on the floor. Good. Lift, and then lift a little higher with a little squeeze, and lower. And really hopefully feeling this on the waistline of that upper side. Brilliant. Couple more. And lower. Breathing out, lift. Breathing in as you lower. Last one. And lower. Perfect. Good. Now keeping the legs connected, bend at the knees. And just have a wee look at the knees and check that they are one on top of the other and that the top one isn't lying really far back or far forwards, because that will help you to get these hips nicely stacked one on top of the other. Okay, so put your hand onto that upper hip bone because we want this hip to stay in this position, pointing forwards, okay, towards the screen, rather than rolling backwards and pointing up towards the ceiling. So we're going to do the clam now, okay? So again, breathe in to prepare, and then on your out breath, open that upper knee just as high as you can manage without the pelvis rolling back and keeping your heels connected. And then lower on the in-breath. Breathe out and lift. Breathe in and lower. Now use your glute muscles on this top side. When you get the knee lifted, give a little squeeze of the glutes. See if there's any more height that you can get. And lower. And again, don't rush through it. Just go with your breath. You don't need to worry about being in sync with me or anything like that. You just follow your breath. Breathing out to lift, squeeze. Breathing in to lower. Good. Okay, now for a nasty little kick. So open the knee and hold it there for the count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Good, well done. Okay, before we roll over onto the other side, we're going to do some nice big circles with this top leg, but just keeping the knee in this bent position. Okay, so lift that top leg, bring it forwards, and then up, and then back, and forwards, and up, and back. Trying not to let the underneath leg lift off too much as you take that leg back behind you. Good. Forwards, up, and back. Good, last couple. Brilliant, and relax. Okay, then roll over onto your other side, and we have to do it all on the other side. So, starting off with our torpedo. So, ankles, knees, hips and shoulders, all perfectly aligned. Use this free hand for support. Try and keep the support nice and light. Use a little towel underneath your hip if you need to. Breathe in, and then on your out breath, lift both legs off the ground, keeping them together and feeling a little crunch in the obliques on that upper side. Breathe in to release. Breathe out to lift. Breathe in to release. Good. Lovely. Keeping it all nice and slow, controlled. Paying attention to your breath. Paying attention to the muscles that you're working. Relax the neck. Try not to scrunch up your shoulders. Keep those shoulders down, away from the ears. Good, last two. Perfect. Okay, then bend the knees and we're going into our clam. So you want to have your feet lined up as best you can manage with your tailbone. Make sure your knees are stacked. That ensures that your hips are stacked. Breathe in, prepare, and then on your out breath, open up your top knee. Don't let your pelvis roll backwards. Squeeze into the glute and get a little bit more height. And then breathe in to release. Good. Breathe out and lift. Squeeze and release. Perfect. So you can put your hand on your hip bone to remind you not to let yourself roll backwards. And don't worry about how high you're lifting the leg. You might only get a little tiny bit of movement there, and that's okay. Just whatever you can manage is perfect. Good. Lift and squeeze, always trying to get that last little extra millimeter of height out there. Good. Last couple. And lower. Lift. And lower. Good. We'll do one last one where we lift as high as you can, and then hold it there for the count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Oh, good, well done. Then before we finish, we're going to do before we finish on our side, I should say, come into those leg circles. So lift your top leg, bring it forwards, lift it up, take it back. Good, sweep it forwards, open, then back. Try not to let the underneath leg lift up too much. Good. Forwards, up, and back. Good. One more. Brilliant, well done. Okay, now roll over from here onto your tummy. And we're going to bring the arms out off the mat, so onto the floor beside you, and sort of down, just sort of level with your chin, or wherever feels kind of comfortable for you. Okay, so you can rest your chin or your forehead down onto the floor. I'm just going to keep mine lifted so you can hear what I'm saying to you. Okay, now think about your legs first. So if you can sort of squeeze and activate the muscles in your legs, so clenching your thighs, and you'll hopefully feel your kneecaps lift up off the floor. Now think about your glutes. So squeeze the glutes, tilt the pelvis slightly back, okay? And then, so you're thinking about sort of your pointing down towards your heels. Then think about your abdominals and trying to imagine lifting your belly button up off the floor. Now, I don't expect you to do that, but just that's the idea. Okay, now we're going to slowly take the shoulder blades back into their sockets. You're kind of rolling your shoulders back and down, and then bring the elbows, sort of start to slide the elbows and the hands a little bit down, and then curl upwards, lifting your head and your chest off the floor, but still thinking about your glutes, your thighs, and your abs. Okay? And then slowly curl back down. Now your elbows can lift off as you're lifting up. And we're just going to repeat that. Lift, head and chest. And think about lengthening, so reaching up towards the end of your mat. Not so much curling up towards the ceiling. Good, and then curl back down. Think about those kneecaps, your thighs, your glutes, your abs. Lift again. And lower. Good, a few more. Lovely. And again, not worrying about how high up you are or aren't getting. Just honoring your body wherever you are is completely fine. Don't push it beyond where it wants to go. There's a fine line between sort of pushing for progression and then just pushing too far. And you know where that point is. Just trust yourself. Good. Do one more of these. Okay, lovely. Now, if you can, we're going to extend both the arms out in front now. If this isn't accessible for you for whatever reason, just keep going with the exercise we just were doing, okay? Because I know not everybody can have the arms extended like this. But if you are able to, we're going to have the arms stretched out and then lift up head and chest slightly. Okay, now we're going to lift right arm and left leg. and then lower. Then lift left arm and right leg. And lower. Good. Right arm, left leg. Squeeze into those glutes and lower. Left arm and right leg. Now again, stay here if this is enough, or we're going to lift both arms and both legs together. Okay, big breath in. Then as you breathe out, lift and lower. Lift and lower. And a few more. Lift. Squeeze into those glutes and the muscles in your lower back. Good, a few more. Going back to single arm and leg if that's enough for you. Last two now. And lower. Last one. And lower. Brilliant. Okay. Now push yourself into the shell stretch, child's pose, clamshell stretch, whatever you want to call it. Or not clamshell. What is it? Relaxation. So pushing your bum back down towards the heels and stretch forwards. Again, not worrying about how close you get the bum down onto the heels. You might be more here, but you're still getting a good stretch of the lower back in this position. Reach the arms forwards. Good. Then come forward so your shoulders are over your wrists and your knees are underneath your hips. And we'll do a little bit of cat-cow just to stretch out the spine as well. So the first one would be this nice arching up of your spine. After all of those back extensions, it's nice to come up into this curved spine and stretch over your shoulders. And then a little bit of the opposite where you scoop a little bit and push your tailbone up and just bring your gaze up towards the end of your mat. Good, breathe out. Look back towards the knees. Arch up across the shoulders. Breathe in, scoop the spine, and look slightly forwards. And then just feel free to stretch out your back in whatever way feels good for you. Stretch up the sides. You might want to push back again or spend longer in that cat arch stretch. Just whatever works for you. Good. Okay, and then just bring your feet out to the side and legs out in front. We're very nearly finished. And I'm sweltered. I forgot to turn the radiator off in here and I'm so hot. Okay, so legs stretched out in front of you. Now there's options again, so you can keep a little bend in your knees if that helps you to sit with a nice straight upright spine. Or you can get your little towel and sort of prop yourself up. I'll show you with a wee book. You know, just something even about that height. And just sit on it, just to give your hips a little bit more height. And sometimes that can help you to sit nice and upright. Okay. So feel free to use props or ask me if you're unsure. So legs are straight as they can be, but spine is most definitely upright. Now take the arms out to the side, about shoulder height. Watch we don't get all scrunched up into the neck, so keep those shoulders nicely down. Now a nice big breath in, and then on your out breath, twist over to the right. Good, then breathe in, coming back into the center, and breathe out, twist over to the left. Good, and again, breathe into the center, breathe out to the right, breathe in, breathe out. Now, if your arms aren't happy in this position, feel free to bring them across your chest. Resting hands on opposite shoulders. Good, we'll do one more to each side. A lovely, gentle spine twist. Brilliant. Okay, then still in this position, breathe in and reach the arms up to the ceiling. And then on your out breath, we're going to reach forwards as we tuck the chin in towards the chest. Pull the abdominals in and round the shoulders. Then breathe in, restack the spine and reach upwards. Breathe out, nice rounding of the spine, reaching forwards with the arms and pulling back with the abs. Breathe in, reach up. Good, breathe out, reach forwards, rounding shoulders, drawing abs inwards. Good, one more. And out. Okay, now we're going to put those two together. So if you open your legs, probably about the width of your mat, and still sitting up nice and tall. If you need the bend in the knees, that's okay. If not, if you can keep the legs straight, try and flex the feet. Get your quads switched on, your toes pulling back in towards your shins. Now reach the arms out long, shoulder height. Breathe in. And then on your out breath, we twist over to the right. Bring your left hand round towards the outside of your right foot, so opposite arm to the outside, and a little stretch and reach forwards. Breathe in, come back through the center, arms long. Breathe out, twist over to the left and reach forwards. Breathe in, arms long. Breathe out, twist and reach. Good, so you should feel this, keep on going from side to side. You should feel this both across the shoulders and down the back of your legs, hopefully. Breathe out, twist, reach. Breathe in, reaching long through the fingers, shoulders down. Breathe out, twist, and reach. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. One more to each side. Really reaching as long as you can. Good. And then just relax. Bring your legs into a comfortable position, whatever that is for you. Or you can even lie down again if you prefer. And bring one hand to your chest, one hand to your belly. You can close your eyes if you want. We're just going to finish with a couple of lovely breaths. So breathing in through the nose. Feel your chest lift and expand. Feel your belly expand as it fills with air. And then breathe out through the mouth, feeling the ribs close and drawing the belly button inwards as you empty the belly of air. Couple more breaths, your own length, your own breathing pattern. Lovely, and then just relax the hands, relax the body, and that's the class finished. I'm going to hit stop on the record and then have a wee chat with you all. Okay. Stop.